Hi, so I wanted to do a video following back on the video I recently did on ETs and aliens. And really this is just because I feel like there's so much to explore here, and I opened up to speaking about these extraterrestrial beings and what that really means and the information that I know regarding with it. And as we know, they're not new. It's not this new phenomenon. It's actually been around for a long time. And this kind of discovery really leads us into those deep questions of who we are, right? But at the same time, what it is really this deep diving into finding out what's going on here. And it's fascinating really because we are living in this world and on this planet where we don't know, we have forgotten. What's happening is that we have forgotten what's true and what's real. And we have forgotten our history. And we've been told a certain aspect of history, but a lot of it doesn't make sense and doesn't add up. And even still, there are so many unanswered questions, why? And ultimately, we have been told this one thing that's very linear, very 3D, very scientific in the modern sense of that word now. And really, actually, when you look at it, you can see, we're living on this planet with so many ruins, ancient ruins that are on our doorstep sometimes. And nobody really knows what's happened. The great pyramids of Giza, there's so many unanswered questions here. So many people have gone into it, provided explanations, yet nothing has been concrete yet. The questions are still unanswered. And so really it's just this process of knowing that actually we come from this ancient history that is advanced, this advanced civilization that used to live, that created this and all of that jazz, that's actually our history, that's our provenance, that's where we come from. And so it's been destroyed, it's been lost. Mainly, it's been lost. And actually what's happening now is amazing because we are rediscovering that and we are remembering and going into the recognition of these ancient historical sites and actually knowing that there's a lot more going on than we have been told and then what meets the eye. And the pyramids and Stonehenge, all of these things, people wonder, how did they get there? How did they do that? Maybe they were giants, there's so many theories, right? And again, this crosses through too with the extraterrestrial subject, because a lot of what I have listened to, information that is coming from beings out of this planet, out of this world, they have a whole different level of perspective, I guess, that we don't have here. And I know in the previous video I spoke about, people say you don't need to get information from other beings and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of the information that we have received now from, people in the history and even now being received still today is coming from beings from, other dimensions, basically. And a lot of that information has come through them. So, fair enough, you can say don't open yourself up to that cautious, you have to be cautious, the possibility of all sorts of different things that could happen to you. But at the same time, a lot of the information has come from other beings, basically. And so now this is also where an interesting aspect comes into it, because how do we know what is true and what is real? And with regards to our current understanding and concept of evidence, evidence-based backed science. But actually what's happening now is this knowledge of spiritual science is coming up. And that's a whole different ball game, and it's a whole different way of operating. And it's not the same as just having, you need evidence. It doesn't work like that anymore. And the important thing to know here is that, we are the data point. Basically, we are that. So we are receiving information, the information is coming through us, basically. And yes, we might see things outside and we're going to absorb information from outside, but at the end of the day, it's like vibrating with what's happening internally. And I know that this is going to be hard for a lot of people to really grasp and get their head around, but basically what's happening now is that information, we can know so much information when we listen. Basically, we can listen to these beings, we can listen to what they have to say. It doesn't mean we have to just believe it immediately straight away. No, that's not what happens. We can just leave it there until later something unravels, and then we can see, okay, cool, this makes sense now. Boom, now I get it. And then what happens from that point is basically that we learn to discern, obviously, but we are getting our information from somewhere that isn't waiting for the science to catch up. Because at the end of the day, there's so much more to it. There's so much more to life. And we'll be waiting forever if we're going to be waiting for that. And it will catch up one day. Of course it will. But at the same time, there is so much to be known about specific locations, specific sites, stargates, energy portals, all these things, which I feel like it's all happening now and it's going to happen over time. So much is going to be opened here on planet Earth and open for us. And then the other thing, part of that is that the information is within us. So we just kind of need to unlock that so that we can receive the information ourselves as well. And I'm talking about specific beings, so many people over time, like, what's his name? Rudolf Steiner, apparently a lot of his information was channeled. Edgar Casey, and also that other woman. I'm sure even other Eastern sages as well, but I can't remember her name. Can't remember her name. Maria something. So, a lot of these people got their information from this outside source. And a lot of films, I think, as well, that are made are also coming from these outside sources. You open the channel for creativity and then it comes through. Some of the films are so strong and so powerful and so accurate. You watch them and you think, did that person really know what was going on? Maybe they did, and I think a lot of the time they don't, but they're tapping into something that's outside of them. And it's in the collective consciousness, So in this video, what I really wanted to talk to you about really is just different dimensions and my understanding of how that works. And I'm going to be sharing what I have learned from a Keylontic Science perspective. And I feel like this Keylontic Science really is merging spirituality and science together. And, as I dove into it, I realized that they're not two separate things at all in any way whatsoever. It's actually all just freaking one, as it always is. So, I think it's really important to know that through the navigation and navigating of what's really going on here, and us connecting with this deep history that has been long lost and forgotten, is also knowing that we don't need to go out there waiting for somebody to hand the information over to us in a platter with evidence-based backed thing. That's just not the case. That's just not the case. We can get a lot more information when we don't do that, when we actually look at other sources, and when we unlock that within ourselves, when we actually are able to open the portal. And what I've heard about the pyramids, and I don't think it's just the pyramids, but specifically the pyramids in Giza, is that they basically are holding the Akashic records. And obviously we also have access to the Akashic records, right? And now the Akashic records are basically, it's a library, which again, this is all metaphor, is how I understand it. it's a library of information, but it's history. It's the whole history of the planet, basically. And I guess it's not just the past, it's also the future. So now we are getting into this funky domain where things might get a bit complicated. But I'm going to try and really break it down so that you can see it clearly. And I just want to say, because this model that I have learned has been so helpful for me, because now what happens is that when I listen to other people speaking and they're speaking about, different dimensions, or this information coming from here, this being is residing in this dimension, all this information, this kind of talk, it's so helpful when you have the basically map. It's a map, when you have the diagram, when you have the skeleton to really understand what that is talking about and what that means. And a lot of people use different models, but still, at the same time, I think this one, even knowing that they're talking about something in a slightly different way, it still helps. It still has helped me to know this, because I just can receive the information so much easier and it makes sense. So I do want to just preface with that to say that there are many different models that can be used. A lot of people use different models when you map out the universe, let's say. And that's fine. I think a lot of it depends on what dimension that per being is in and how they are viewing things. Because basically it's like you can be on one level, but all you can see is that level. So all you can see is from that level and inwards. But then you can be on another level out here, wider perimeter, and you can see more. So I think there's definitely part of that, and I guess maybe there's also just a part of using different tools, basically. But I know a lot of people talk about different octave of the universe and all this stuff, and how many dimensions are there and all this. So I just really wanted to explain this because I feel like it was so helpful, and hopefully you will also be able to take this and walk away from this video and then be able to know what it is when somebody else is also speaking and in this way and talking about these different things, and you can really understand it, like, oh yeah, that's familiar, I know that, I recognize that, So I am going to use this pad and I'm going to draw this out, and hopefully it will be clear. And I just wanted to say, hopefully it will be clear. So, the other video I was talking about ETs and extraterrestrials, right? So now this video, I really want to go into the model and the map and the layout of the universe, right? And it's not the universe, it's this time matrix, basically. It's this particular time matrix that we are living in now. And so, now, first of all, I think it's important to know that, this is a quantum reality. Now, obviously, what does that really mean? So, I would say that basically how to really get that is that everything exists here. So everything and more is already existing. It's all here in this one space, but we can't access everything from where we are now. It doesn't mean we're not allowed, it doesn't mean we won't do it at one stage, but it just means right now we are not seeing everything. But there's a method and there's a route to just slightly shift, and then you'll be in a completely different dimension and a different reality, different surrounding, different everything. And I feel like Celestine Prophecy was really good at explaining that right at the end of that film and book. If you saw that, when I read that book, there's something really spoke deep to me with that, because I don't know, man. There was something about me that just felt like, yes, I know this is real and I know this is true. So, let me get to it. So, there are different dimensions. Now, I am going to basically draw and describe the way that I have understood the different dimensions that we reside in and where we are as well here. So this is a 15-dimensional time matrix. So that means that there are 15 different dimensions. And now this is just one. There are an infinite amount of these. So let me explain it. So basically what that means is that there are 15 different dimensions. Now, let's see. Let me just do this nicely. Okay. So I am going to do it inwards. Yeah. So let's say now I'm going to draw the different dimensions here like this. 1, 2, 3. So let's say this is 1, this is 2, and that's 3. Hopefully that you can read that. Yeah. And then we go for this. To me, this has just really helped me to understand it, because people talk about the astral realm and this and that and this, and it's just like, well, okay, cool, but like, what does it even mean, and like, where is it? And also, at the end of the day, like, this is just a model. It's obviously not, I don't know, to be taken too seriously. I think it's literally just a way to kind of interpret and to get it. So, and at the same time, it's like, it's a map. Like most maps, they show you where the places are, but it doesn't necessarily mean there are physical borders there, because there aren't, right? Okay. Let me just do that a bit bigger. Okay, so basically now this, you can see this is the 15 different dimensions, right? Time matrix. Okay, so this is how it is. Okay, so the outer levels of the time matrix are basically the most dense aspects of reality. And there are a few different things to consider here. First of all, this is a reflection of the planetary system, and it's also a reflection of our own personal body energy system. So it's all intertwined and it's all connected. When we say we are connected to the earth, we are actually connected to the earth. That's a literal translation. And so basically, we right now at this moment reside here within dimensions 1 to 3, okay? So look. And the dimension 1 is basically the densest dimension, which means we have physical bodies. Everything is physical, because as we all know, everything is frequency, right? So everything is vibrating and it's constantly moving, but we don't see it like that, do we? No, we see things as hard. Like, this is hard. I can feel it. But this isn't the only way of living. Now, to expand our minds, we have to understand that this is just one way of operating, okay? And there's more. There's more. And it all changes, and the more it also changes our body, as we're all connected. So we are currently in dimension 1, but basically it goes up in 15 and it moves in 3. So we've got this is the first what's it called? Density. This is the second density, third density, fourth density, yeah? And fifth density. Now, as you can see, it moves up in 3. So when you're in the first density, you have access to dimensions 1, 2, and 3, yeah? And when you basically move through the dimensions, your body starts to change. Everything is changing. And the different dimensions are also connected to the chakras. So it's all connected. So this is where it's to do with the body. And I really want to like draw a person in here because because that's exactly how it works. So 1, 2, 3, we've got the lower chakras, right? So this is where we begin. The root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, right? And this is also like where we need to work on to unblock in order to move into the next dimension. This information is freaking sacred knowledge, I swear down. Like, I was so grateful when I came across this. I was like, wow. Because it puts so much into perspective of so over the years, the many years of what my learnings, my own discoveries. And wow, it's just freaking cool. But it's sacred knowledge because this, we don't get taught this and we don't necessarily know this, like this is what it's about. Now I've drawn it inwards because this is the way that I interpret it now. But at the same time, like, I guess if you're using it as your body and you're in, but example, you're inside this these waves, right? Then I guess it can also go outwards. So then it's basically the other way around. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and then it, outwards. But I feel like it's going inwards. So that's why I've drawn it like this. Okay, so here's Earth. Right, now to move to the next density, which is density 2, is basically, this is where it gets quantum, is another version of Earth. But I think, yeah, that at this perspective, Earth is called Tara. And then there's another one, and then also another one. Now I actually need to double check with these ones because I feel like, yeah, there's Gaia, which I think is the next one, and then there's another one, and I think it's Agatha, but I might have got those two twisted around. But anyway, let me just write Gaia there. It's okay. I will need to double check that. But the only thing to understand here is that basically the Earth has a different name for her different embodiment when she moves through the dimensions. So I know a lot of people call Gaia Earth, Mother Gaia. But actually, if you want to be, you can say, if you want to be more accurate, Mother Gaia is actually not this Earth current state. It's actually in another version. But to be honest, I'm not being specific with these names because I've heard other names as well. There are different names and there's so much to understand with the reality that we don't know. So listen, let's figure it out together and not be too attached and sensitive. So the other thing to say as well is that basically these different dimensions are different parts of our soul matrix and our identity. So now here, basically we think that like, and we're connected through the dimensions. We are connected through the dimensions, but because we're at the most dense part here, basically that's why we haven't got access to the rest of it. Now there's more to it than that. It's not just that, it's also because this planet has been completely manipulated and hijacked for a very, very, very long time. And I know so many people know that's what's up and know that's real and know why that is happening. And yeah, what I was going to say as well is just that the point is that we have different soul identities. Think of the soul, obviously, something that's kind of like not just physical, it's etheric, and it exists with the body, but also not. I also learned that, the body doesn't house the soul houses the body. So that's really what I'm talking about here. As you can see, the soul is this whole matrix. It's 15 dimensions. And we are just here within dimension 1 to 3, which is the physical body. And so with that physical body, as you can see, it's the whole of the soul is housing just the physical body, right? And so just quickly as well, as you move into the other dimensions, your body changes. So in dimension 1, it's dense. Physical, you can feel it. In dense 2, it gets lighter. So it's your light body. That's what they call it, light body. And the point is that in order to be there, you have to be able to activate a different kind of body. If you don't, you just can't exist there. I read this metaphor the other day. It was basically like, if you want to live in the ocean, you can't live in the ocean, right? You can go to the ocean, you can spend some time there, it's amazing, but you can't survive. You won't survive. Your body physically cannot adapt. So this is what it means to move through to these different densities and to move through the different dimensions. And these words, basically, you will hear many other people talk about them and use these same words. And with this model, you can really, really tune in and get what's been said and what's being shared. So that's that. And then I think basically when you move to the next third density, then basically it's a full light body. So the second one, dimensions 4 to 6, is in between. It's physical and light, and then the next one is completely light, and then the next one as well. It's just light, basically. Now the word light as well was very interesting because it's light as in it's not dense, but it's also light because it is light and sound, light, frequency, light, So I was just going to talk about the different identities. So from number 1, I can put it here. This is called incarnate. And again, that's because this is the physical body, right? And this is, we incarnate into our bodies, right? And then the next one, it's interesting, these words, but I guess again, they're just words. So incarnate identity, and then it's the soul, and then it's the oversoul, yeah. And then it's the avatar. Now, again, very interesting words because, Avatar I just find so interesting because I feel like the film Avatar has, it's an amazing film, we know that. But in a way, it has distorted what the avatar actually means because it's made it seem like the avatar is the incarnate. Basically, in that film, avatar is like what you go into, and it's not really, it's your avatar, right? It's not you. It's not. I'll explain this. It's something that you can use to, in a way, it is kind of accurate because, yeah, okay, you can. But again, I just feel like they've used it in a way that it's your human body controlling the avatar, that's it. But the truth is that your avatar identity is controlling the incarnate identity. So it's actually the other way round. So, and your avatar is basically you, your higher self. It's you at a very high level of integration and expansion and enlightenment, right? And basically, I can't even fit the next one. So all of these are basically your higher selves and your higher soul, right? That's how I see it. And right in the middle of this circle as well, I can't really fit it in there, but I'll write it here, is basically dimension 13, 14, 15. This one's not going there. Okay, and that is the Rishi level of consciousness. Now again, we've heard these words before. The ancient sages, Indian philosophy uses this Tibetan, all of that, you know. And so this is like, okay, this is actually how it works, basically. And, you know, I'm sure you have heard it before. They say your Rishi consciousness and your avatar. And even now I went to India, Meher Baba, he's constantly speaking about the avatar, and that's why. So the avatar basically is you existing from dimensions 10 to 12. Okay, and now this number 12 is really an activation. It's an important number because it is an activation, and we see 12 everywhere. So, you know, 12 months of the year, 12 notes in the scale, in the music scale. What is it? 12 months of the year. Yeah, 12 is a dozen. 12 signs of the zodiac. You know, the list goes on. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but the list goes on. You know, this number 12 is really, it is important just because it sparks remembrance. And again, remember what I said at the beginning, the remembrance isn't something out there that someone's going to show you. The remembrance is happening here. It's within you. So these triggers, words are important. And so basically, yeah, so 10, 11, 12. Now, what else was I going to say here? So yeah, and here also, where I've drawn the line, these lines, this basically is like a magnetic repulsion zone is what it's called. So again, it's one of those things that you can't just go there unless your body has been prepared and unless you're ready, you know? So the whole point is that we can prepare ourselves and get ready to move through. And again, like I said, look, I'm going to have to do a whole different video on this hijack of the lower dimensions and this planetary system, because it's a big story. But all to know is that is what has happened, and then has been happening. This is why we are living in so much darkness and forgetfulness and amnesia. So, because what's supposed to happen is that we are supposed to know, and we're supposed to be able to. Now, again, the words are tricky because supposed to, what does that mean? It makes it think like things aren't in alignment with the divine plan and what it's supposed to, you know, and what is. But the point is that it is in alignment with the divine plan. But at the end of the day, Source is just experiencing itself in all these different avenues and aspects. You know, some people have chosen and decided to play this role of the hijacking and of the planet and the control of the planetary system and grids, or trying to anyway, blah, blah, blah. And others of us are fortunate to be going through an ascension process because of that, basically. And that's another thing that's happening right now. So yeah, real quick again. So the dimensions are connected to the chakras. As we open our chakras, we integrate more of ourselves. We open the flow of the energy, and then we are able to move through this transformation and basically change in our physical body so that we can then move through the different dimensions. Now, this is a very highly scientific, mathematical process, program, the existence of the way that this works. It's a highly intelligent design, you know. It's not, I mean, you know, and it's not something that is just like, oh yeah, whatever, it's fine, everything goes. It doesn't work like that. It's a highly sophisticated architecture, you know? That's what it is. But it's amazing to understand it. Now, also another thing to remember is that as I'm sharing these words and whoever is sharing words with you, when you really get it, I mean, when you feel ignited and excited and inspired, that's when you really know that it's real, it's true. This is how we discover truth as well. If it's resonating with you, it's because you are also coming into, it's activating something within you deep down that knows what is real, And obviously later at another date that might change, it might look different, and it's okay, that's fine. Okay, so listen, I hope this is clear. I hope that you can see it and it makes sense. And yeah, so this is also why working with the chakras and clearing and healing and integrating the chakras is so important, because it's not disconnected from this process. It's not disconnected from the planetary system and us and anything like that. And so basically the other point here as well is that this is here with the earth, and in all these different dimensions there's a morphogenetic field, and that exists also personally within our own personal morphogenetic field as well. So now this is when we get into the energetics, and we can work with that field by ourselves. Energy matrix, it's all energy. We can begin to start working with that within ourselves and start commanding it, basically. So that was that part. And then I also was just going to share about so the evolution of consciousness and the evolution of the planetary system and the evolution of Earth. So basically, because we've been living this way for, you can say, quite a long time now, but how long is long? It seems like life is like this for a long time, but do you really think life is supposed to be in this material realm like this forever? Like, there's clearly more going on here. And do you think that, Earth doesn't have her own cycle and design and moving through different phases of growth? Well, she does. So basically what happened, from what I've heard, is that we were in I think the second density. We were there before, but again, this history, where does it start? What I find so interesting about history is that we say stuff and we go back to a certain point, but what happened before that? It looks like in our past we were barbaric and all these things, but actually what happened before that? Like when the pyramids were, and even before that, do you know about Atlantis and do you know about Lemuria? We are intelligent, magical beings, and this is the remembrance that we're walking into now. So I was just going to share as well about we used to exist in a higher dimension and a higher density, and then basically this whole beings came from other planets and other spheres and brought the greed and the control, and then we fell to the lowest density. So now that's where we are now. To be honest, I feel like this is the age-old story of time, of existence, of creation. It's just the way that it is, and not the way that it's going to be forever, because then we get to choose and things change, and there is a design to this. And so every 260,000 years, I think it is, but we can say 250. Every 260,000 years is basically, and I think this is an astronomical precession as well. So now, listen, this is a lot of information, but I'm sharing it because this is what I have come to grasp, and also it's really helpful to understand the times. Woo! What's happening in our world at the moment? What's going on? Everything's crashing, crumbling, lies, deceits, the illusion is being revealed. We can see what's going on. More truths are coming to the light. Babylon's falling. Why is that happening? And that's happening because of this process of every 26,000 year cycle, which is also known as the precession of the equinox. This natural organic evolution process that takes place, which is the ascension, you can call it the stellar activation cycle, but ultimately what that means is that the earth, including the beings on the earth, are moving into the higher dimension. So now listen, this is why you hear everyone saying, I'm moving to 5D, look, there it is, 5D. Now you know where it is. What does it mean, I'm moving to 5D? What is the fifth dimension? Like, what does that even mean? And again, it's a thing that happens in astral travel. Apparently the astral realm is basically in the low fourth dimension, because the third dimension is where we are. This is the physical. So now you can understand the different dimensions and how people talk about it. The third dimension is still dense. Everything here, 1, 2, and 3 is dense. So there's no astral going on here. The fourth dimension is the astral realm. So now that is the place, yeah? And the fifth dimension is basically, there's been so much talk on this, that so many people say we're moving into the fifth dimension, songs even written about it. So, and 3D as well. When people describe 3D, I do it a lot. I talk about it as in physical. This is 3D, physical, material. And then fifth dimension is a whole different thing, right? We're moving to the fifth dimension. And when it comes to plant medicines and everything as well, we're traveling through these different realms to these different dimensions. Well, which ones are you going to and where are you going? Because, it feels like to me that actually through the ceremonies, you're only reaching the fourth dimension. You're not actually going above that. And so that's also really interesting to know. I mean, listen, I'm sure there'll be more information that comes out of it about that's more detailed than what I'm providing right now. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. So fifth dimension, but also as you can see, the fifth dimension is like in the second density. And that also people get into these arguments. It's like, the point is it's not one is better than the other. It doesn't work like that. It's just is what it is, And the other point as well that I heard is that everything below the 12th dimension, this is the one here, is basically distorted. Now, that's also very interesting thing to understand and, just hear it and bear it in mind, because people will speak about things and it will make sense. And also, again, just take this information lightly, because I know when a lot of the information came out, it was very much fear induced around be careful. And I really don't feel like that's really helpful way of dealing with this information. Ultimately, to know that perhaps from the 12th dimension and below, things are distorted, but all is to understand is that you can't trust everyone, and that's just the way that it is. And we have to be able to discern and use our discernment. So we can't trust any being that is just because it's from a dimension that's higher than us. It does not mean that it has our best interests at heart, and this is what I'm saying, I'm going to have to do another video on, but because of the dynamic and the play of this battle of the dark versus the light, and understanding that the darkness has basically taken a bit of control of the time matrix in this way, all the way up to the 12th dimension is basically what that means. But again, it doesn't mean don't listen to specific information. It doesn't mean you have to hide yourself away. No, it just means that you have to discern and maybe protect yourself as well, because there could be some sorts of psychic attacks and all sorts of stuff like that. But if you are standing in your power, standing in your light, and protecting your shield as you are listening and hearing things, then I think that you will be fine. It's not a case of running away, it's a case of seeing it and still being able to discern. But at the same time, you exist there. So the point is, activate yourself, activate your avatar, activate all of the levels of your soul, right? And that's how you will gain your own memory. And then within that, here with the higher dimensions, basically, the whole point when you get to the Rishi 34 to 15, beyond 15 is basically the I think it's like the primal light and sound, and then basically that's, I've just kind of put this in the wrong place, but that's when you get to source. After here, then you're right in the source of connection, connected to the source creator, God. Now again, God, distorted explanation we've had of this man. Listen man, God is not a man, and God is not a woman. That's not the way that I understand source anymore. And then again, do we see how we're connected to it? This is the source, this is the light, it's right here. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's us. We are accessing it and reawakening it, this connection between all these different dimensions. And then, so really when you understand this as well, you can see that like the body is not just your body, it's like so much more than that. And you exist in all these different densities. And so there's so many different other beings that are you, that are up there, but we're just not connected to them at the moment. So it's like, when you really understand it, it's a whole different paradigm. And the thing about source is really interesting, because so much has been distorted here, that our understanding of what God is. And all I'm thinking here now when I think about source is just light, it's just light. It's light and sound. It's that, that's the sun. It's light. That's what it is. And it's not a being. It exists there where we don't have bodies, basically. Right in those dimensions, it's primal light and sound. We're not in a body. The only body is here in the lower aspects of this time matrix, So, that's what's up. And so it works with the body, and I don't know. In my mind, I'm seeing like this giant being. You know what I mean? That is existing right there in the center of everything, and it slowly, as you start activating, it starts coming online. You know what I mean? We start coming online, and that's again another point of it, is that we are the ones that the answers lie within you. We hear these phrases, everything that you're seeking for is within. The old ancient sages, this information was classified. I swear so many different sects and religions knew about this, but it's highly secret. It has been highly secret information because the planet has been under siege. Siege, right, hasn't it? So but the information is coming to light now, because that's what I was talking about. We're in the 26,000 year cycle. Again, look, I'm not too tight about the specific details and needing to get everything accurate, just because I know that there's so many different models, and I know that people use slightly different things. So like, it's okay. So now, okay, let me just explain this, and then I'm gonna stop the video, I think, because this is a lot of information. So obviously this 26,000 year cycle, Earth moves to higher density and higher dimensions. It's a cycle, right? It ends and it begins. So right now we are at the precipice of the beginning of that cycle and the end of the other cycle. This is why so many people are saying it's the Kali Yuga, and we've been through the dark ages, we're moving into the golden age, the age of Aquarius, all of these things. This is why. And yeah, it's fascinating that not many people know about this, but why would they? Because we have been in a state of absolute ignorance and amnesia. So we don't know about this. And some of us are coming into remembrance, and we're coming online, basically. And the process is for all of us to come online. That's what's going to happen. And so this, dates again, it's like when you speak to an astrologer, you can't give dates so accurately. It doesn't really work like that, but it started in 2008, I think, 2005, somewhere around there. And 2012 was a really pivotal one where people said, but I feel like it's just all energetic shifts. So it's not like it's so obvious, and it happens subtly, it's small, it's soft, it's gentle, until it isn't. And we're literally at the beginning of this, and there's a long way to go. So the earth is moving, it's the earth. And obviously what's been happening, we've been living in these dark ages in this state of ignorance and such disrespect for the earth, it's disrespect for the mother. There's so much disrespect for the feminine, all of these things. So it's almost like, she's had enough, but at the same time, it's a natural process. This is what happens. So we are moving basically from here to here. But I think the other thing to know as well is that once you learn how to travel, I think it doesn't need to be linear. You can also then just move between these different places, right? So this is why everyone keeps saying we're moving to 5D, right? Now it makes sense. But again, like I was saying, I think you can still move to these other places as well. That it doesn't need to just be like, oh yeah, I can only go there. But obviously your body just does need to be prepared. And the process happens within the body. So this is why everything that you're looking for can be found within. Because that's literally what it is. There is absolutely nobody that can do this journey for you. There is absolutely nobody that can, walk you through this yourself. You have to do it yourself. You have to prepare yourself. One thing that I have learned through all of this is that purity, all what we're doing is we're moving to the higher dimensions. So this lower vibration stuff has to be purged, and that's what's happening on the planet at the moment. It's being purged. The way of thinking, the ideologies, the rules, all of these things are being purged, and they are being revealed so that we can see it, and so that we can. And it's funny because not everyone can see it yet, to that degree and to that level, but that's what is happening. So to think in order to go to the higher dimensions, we have to be higher. We have to be that. There's no escaping here. And what's happened at the moment, there will be people that aren't able to do that on themselves and might need help to move into that. So yes, that is, I do believe that is something that will happen, but still, at the end of the day, it's you, it's your choice, it's up to you. And there's so much to it here. I think that what's happened, the hijack has been continuing, and these beings, as I was saying in the other video, the beings, the cabal, the inorganic ones, whatever you want to call them, there have been beings that have basically hijacked this. They didn't want us to know this information. They didn't want us to know who we truly are, because we are so much more powerful than them, and than we would ever know. So we would just stay stuck in the slave system, and it is a slave system. Come on, guys, and we have to pay. You have to pay your way. You have to work to make money. you have to pay your taxes, all of these things. This is literally the control. This is how they got us controlled. Obviously, to us it seems normal. Like, come on, guys, this is life. We were born into it. This is just what we do. But when you really start to look at it and you look really deep, you start to see, fudge, this is so dark. This is so dark. And it really is. But it's fine. It's okay. This, again, the darkness needs to be seen so that we can... And so, again, this period of time, 2020, all these things, everything that the cabal and these inorganic ones are doing now is to stop us from ascending, and it's to stop us from knowing who we are, and it's to stop us from moving forwards on the cycle and basically moving through the dimensions and activating and remembering and going and getting closer to God, because they are not in a space where they want to be connected. No one can disconnect from the source. As you can see, it's literally how this is it. The source is right in the center. There's no disconnecting. But they, in some way, have decided that they don't want to. They don't want to play the games anymore. They don't want to play the universal laws, and so they're not. But at the end of the day, that's they don't want to play it. But I forgot what I was going to say. But you can't be completely disconnected from source, basically. Of course, that's the point. But they are trying to pull us. They are also trying to drag us into that so that they can survive, so that they can use us as food and as fuel, literally. So listen, all this stuff is really important to know. If you have an attitude where you're like, you know what, it's fine, the aliens are here, it's all good. If I die, I die, it's fine. And whatever happens, if I have to be reset, my consciousness needs to reset, fine, then cool, that's fine, that's totally fine. But if you want to move more consciously through what's going on and what's about to happen, and all the more information that we're going to get, all this stuff about ETs and again, like what I said, with the dimension 12 and below is highly distorted. And the point there to know is that whatever information you're getting from beings in all these different dimensions, it doesn't mean that they are here for your highest good. That's it. It doesn't mean that they want to, they might be in disguise, these false gods in disguise, and they just want to, again, take us into this control, manipulation, food source, So it is really important to know what's happening, because where we are about to go, we need to be able to discern and to know what is best for us. And already we've been tricked, and already so many people have been tricked, and so many people have realized they've been tricked in 2021 and beyond with this injection. Like, that was the trick. The trick was to stop you from your organic evolution. That wasn't what it's for. Many people think it was because of money. It wasn't because of money. It's much deeper than that. It's much darker than that. It's much more sinister than that. It's not about money. Money is the control, is the how they control. But that's not what it's about. It's about this. It's about our organic evolution. And this whole system, like I told you, it's organic intelligence. Now AI is coming in, all this other stuff is coming in, and it's like confusing our interpretation of what is real and what isn't. And again, taking us down this crazy ass path where, like I said, control, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the other path is basically us going through this ascension and freeing ourselves from this planet that has kept us as slaves. And, many people won't see it that way. And many people are going to choose that. They're going to choose AI. They chose the injection. They chose the AI. They're going to choose the chip. They're going to choose all of it. And that's their choice. That's their choice. And our choice, we have a choice as well. So know what your choice is. At the end of the day, like I said, we can never be disconnected from source. It doesn't really, it depends on your perspective. It doesn't matter in that sense where, everything comes back to source. But at the same time, what do you want? You know, do you want to be under this manipulation and control, or are you ready to move into higher dimensions? And it's literally that. That's the answer. That's simple. Are you ready to do the work? Because nobody can do it for you but yourself. You have to sit in the pain. You have to detox. You have to do all these things. And the diet is such a big part of it as well. You know, the diet is such a big part of it, because I feel like I need to do another online course. And you know what? Because people have so many misconstrued ideas about diet. People say all sorts of things to back up their own ideologies. But at the end of the day, you know, we haven't got the full picture. We don't really understand what the diet does and why does it work for, you know, everyone's body's different, fair, but like, do we really know what it means when we've activated our light body? What diet means, you know, what prana, how we use energy. So yeah, and the other thing as well is to explain with this is just that, again, this is why number 12 is good. People call it base 12 mathematics and base 10. So right now, what's happened is we're on this planet with base 10 mathematics, which means that everything is sucked out of something else in order to get energy, and we see it. That's why we're going down to get the oil from the inner core of the planet, extracting the oil so that we can use it as energy. We're eating food so that we can use it as energy. Now, base 12 mathematics is self-perpetual system where we don't need to do that anymore. And again, this is how Earth is moving out from 2 different dimensions. So from base 12 mathematics, it's self-created. So rather than having to dig down deep in it beneath to find energy, we become the energy source. And, you know, that's it. We become the light. We become. And that's it, really. Now, that was like a brief little explanation on the difference between the mathematics. And again, I'm sure there's more than that. I'm sure there's so much more to it than that. This is also, I don't know, I feel like it's quite a basic video, but it might be also quite complicated. But I just wanted to share this, and what a freaking time to be aligned. Wow, what a time, honestly. So many of us know, and we know that we're here for this because this is what we came for. It's going to be an adventure. I think a lot of it really comes down to us just surviving, making it through, because in my Noah's Ark video, I spoke about the cataclysms, and it's already been happening. It's already happening. So, that's it really. We're going to make it through. And again, death doesn't mean it's the end. Death is just the transition into another journey, into another place, another space. So yeah, we can make decisions more consciously now, knowing the information, knowing what we know. But we can't do that if we don't have the information, and then we're just going to end up somewhere. Fine, because it's unconscious anyway, right? But when you know, then you will make the decision with using your intuition and discernment, and you will decide what you want to do. So I hope this information has helped for you to really understand this reality, this world, this matrix, and to apply it to what's happening in the world at the moment. And also, I really hope that it's like here so you can get it, so that when anyone else talks about different dimensions and all these different things and the different identities and all that stuff, that you will just get it now. You will know. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in. This is information that I learned in 2020. And yeah, thank you. I also have an online course which is called Awakening 101, a ninja's guide to navigating your spiritual awakening. And it's just me sharing about what helped me along the way on my journey, because I know so many people are going to be going through this process as well. So if you need support, please reach out. Listen to the audio course, and feedback is welcome. And yeah, check out the New Monks podcast, constantly speaking to people there, and also have the Conscious Dance event in London as well. So if you're in London, come through. And yeah, I hope this was insightful, and yeah, may you just continue to grow and to do the work, because the other thing as well is that at the end of the day, the best thing to do is to do the shadow work. Go into your own darkness, into your own healing, to do the inner work, to work on yourself. That is literally how you're going to move through the dimensions. Everything is in your body. All the emotions, all the trauma, we are here to clear it so that we can expand and beyond. And again, another thing as well, because people always think Ascension is like, it's not ungrounded. This is why I'm telling you it's here in the body. This Ascension is actually an incension, yeah? But I always understood it as an ascension. It doesn't mean we can just fly and float above and ignore these other things and bypass and light and love. It's not the point. It means we need to go deep in there. It means looking in here. It means reflecting. And again, the emotions are stored in the body. It means energetically purging and releasing all of that. And that's something I've been doing for a long time now. So, it all starts to make sense in the end. Yeah, I hope it all starts to make sense for you too. Thank you so much for listening. Lots of love.